believing in people. Today we are here to talk about making budget available for people to get something even more important, and that is any chance at all. Over the past year, we've seen so many stars in both sports and the arts, both young and experienced, realize their God-granted potential to make us proud and say that we are South Africans. We must be honest, though, that what our homegrown talents are achieving is often despite the circumstances they are facing, and not because of the platforms we are giving them. Our amazing success on the field is too often balanced by the dysfunction we continue to face off the field. Ours is a system that too often still excludes the majority of people in this country, from school age right through their adult lives. We are realizing perhaps just 5% of our potential as a country, and still we are winning at just about everything we turn our hands and hearts to. Sipho in Kalicha can't play hockey because the price of a hockey stick comes at the cost of a week's food for his family. There are many Siphos in South Africa, and we face similar challenges in the music industry. We have many successful people who have received training in acting, music and singing, but many more who've had to make it by relying on raw talent. They are the exceptions. Imagine if more of us had a chance to hone these great talents and be guided in expressing them. We've heard from many people over the past year, we've truly heard from many people who have been resistant to the changes being brought in this department. They want to see familiar decisions and behavior. But how can we rely on the old way of doing things if the old ways have not solved the problems of the past 3 decades? Change is difficult, but it is necessary. Otherwise, Sipho and the other Siphos and Shashas will never play hockey one day for a gold medal at the Olympics. That's why this budget signifies us trying to start doing things differently. These changes will keep coming as we continue to adapt and change how we spend and support our plans to make sport, the arts and culture accessible to all Siphos, Salines, Salmans and Siamtandas. Today I want to bring honor to our cricket players, netball heroines, the Springboks, our Olympic squad, the sprinters and runners, our boxing champions, our swimmers and so many more. Of all the people I've met over the past year, I would like to tell you a story of a group of young, bulky Afrikaners that came to see me last year to help popularize the sport. I knew very little about their sport, which is called strongman. I approached many sponsors on their behalf. I worked the phones. Most people were not interested, except Supersport and Betway. A year after, the majority of companies did not give a positive response. Most of them were calling me back, asking me to be introduced to the world's strongest man, Reino Nel. If you had told me that this rookie would be crowned the strongest man in the world, not even a year after that knock on my door, you could have knocked me over with a feather. This is a simple example of how, with support, we can defeat the world's best at about anything as South Africans. Nothing illustrates that South Africa has unmined gold waiting in our townships, Cape Flats, and Klein Dorpies like this story. I see my term as a minister as a continuation of my previous job of being a miner, looking for human gold. Access and opportunity matter. Even the greatest of talent need that opportunity. This is why, to invest in all our talent, both in sport and in the arts and culture, as well as preserving our heritage, the department has a budget of 6.3 billion over the 25-26 financial year. Under Program 2, Recreation, Development and Sport Promotion, we are allocating 1.2 billion. To keep supporting sport in our country, we'll be allocating 98.5 million towards federation sport and federation support. One of the biggest changes coming for our federations will be the provision of an office building for them to share. As many have been running their sports out of the boots of their cars, they have been trying to save sports under the most trying circumstances. We will be professionalizing the approach and allowing different sports to benefit from the concept of shared services. We are also finalizing the process of funding video assistant refereeing, VAR, to ensure that football matches from the Premier Soccer League through the international fixtures we host are fairer and meet global standards. It is a necessity. We see stadiums being vandalized when bad refereeing happens, which is quite often. And the success of teams like Mamelodi Sundowns make global teams want to play in South Africa, but they get second thoughts when this year we don't have VAR. Since we last stood here and shared our vision for Team South Africa at the LA Games in 2028, the draft document on Project 350 has been developed. Late last year, we traveled to the Olympic House in Switzerland to register our interest in hosting a Summer Olympic Games in South Africa in 2036. We've already engaged the cabinet clusters, and South Africa is well positioned to become the first African country to host an Olympics in nearly a century and a half. We count on the support of all South Africans to make it happen. Many laughed when I uttered the words Formula One, that Formula One must come back to South Africa. But I want to bring honor to one man in particular who didn't laugh. His name is Toby Venter, the owner of the Kalami racetrack. When I told him that government doesn't have the money to host Formula One because of more urgent priorities, this South African, Toby Venter, said he's in a position to help make his track and uplift it to F1 standards. He looked me in the eye and he said he would see it as his patriotic duty to do that. That was a year ago. I stand here today to tell you that the FIA, the FIFA of motorsport, has given the green light for the upgrading of the track. We've had multiple meetings with the management of F1, with a crucial one happening in the next 2 weeks. To those who say the country can't afford to host the F1, I'm saying the country can't afford not to host the F1. When you set the bar high for a country, as we have done in the past, you can't afford to take the bar back down. We hosted the best FIFA World Cup. We put our country on the map for big events and should not turn back now. What will be different this time, though, is that government will not be expected to pay. Companies like MTN, MultiChoice, Heineken, and many more have raised their hands and said, here we are, tomorrow now. They will be present with us in the meeting with Formula One at the end of the month. We've even had patriots who've told us, whenever you need help, come to us. One of them being the richest man in the country, Johan Rupert. Those who are saying Formula One is not important should consider the countries who are holding on to the F1 spots on the calendar. They see the value in it, and it can't be called the World Championship if it misses an entire continent, sub-Saharan Africa in particular. While on the topic of motorsport, I want to thank everyone who has joined us in our mission to grow the sport of spinning. I want to thank Red Bull and Celsi in particular. People were laughing when we said we're going to make spinning big. But already this sport has left the townships. And now Sam is wowing the likes of Max Verstappen with his skills in Austria. We are keenly exploring the potential of bringing a live golf event to South Africa as early as next year, especially given the platform that this exciting new tournament also gives to performing artists on world-class stages after the golf clubs have been put back in their bags at the end of every day's play. As part of investing and cultivating our domestic talent during the 2025-26 financial year, the department has allocated a total of more than 627 million through the conditional grant to support, amongst many things, equipment and attire for schools, clubs, hubs, the training of people through coaching, technical officiating, and administration courses and employment. Thousands of schools participate in the school sports program and the National School Sports Championship, while hundreds of community leagues are supported through grant funding. You cannot be competitive at Olympics and elsewhere if school sport is not working. I want to thank FNB, who are about to put major investment into school sport for boosting league competition. Under Program 4, Heritage Program and Preservation, we have allocated 2.7 billion, which include an amount of 1.6 billion for the building, maintenance, upgrading, and operationalization of our much valued libraries. Following the success of our inaugural program to return the remains of South African fallen heroes from Zimbabwe and Zambia last year, we shall continue to repatriate the human remains of freedom fighters who fell outside the country during the struggle. Our heroes who fought for us back, Duma Nokwe, Basil February, Tot Machikitsa, and Me Florence Muposho, have been brought home. I'm told there could still be 5,000 bodies that need to be returned, and we shall not rest until they are home. Heading into the current financial year, our technical team is expanding the focus to Angola, Lesotho, while work continues in Zambia and Zimbabwe. We shall soon conclude the reburial of 50 ancestral remains from the Northern Cape, guided by the Northern Cape Reburial Task Team, which represent the Nama, the Griqua, the Korana, and the San communities. Last month, under the theme Reimagining South African Heritage for a New Era, we started the important process of seeing our museums entering the digital age, becoming relevant to a new curious generation of increasing visitors. One of the first projects we are focusing on is Robben Island, which is undergoing a major revamp and facelift as I'm speaking. We are fixing the transport challenges of Robben Island. We will recognize every former prisoner. There will be heritage statues and wall of names, along with a wealth of new facilities and activities. We are proud to have established 17 CCI sector cluster organizations whose formation was necessitated by persistent structural and systemic challenges facing the creative sector. This was extensively discussed. Under Program 3, Arts and Culture Promotion and Development, we are allocating 1.7 billion. Among the key challenges being addressed are the fragmentation and lack of coordination. What I want to say is that artists has been dying poor for 30 years and more. We can't be doing the same things over and over again. We are getting the foundation right. This will be supported by a budget of operationalization of 34 million. We understand the frustration of our creatives. Getting our creative cluster going again is #1 priority for us. The MGE open call has been completed and 152 successful applicants have received their grant letters. We need to move quickly and submit compliance. The department has received 350 million from the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program. The NFVF in particular will have to do things very differently. We will support the San and the Khoi languages. We've set aside 2 million for that. Through these priorities, South Africa stands to benefit by attracting international investment and partnerships. Before I finish, I must answer the $1 million question I keep being asked. Are we going to financially compensate the people who have been winning at everything? The answer is unfortunately no. But if we give our many stars those bonuses, they will bankrupt the state with the way that they are just winning at everything. We are proposing here was that the House adopts this budget. We thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next speaker is the Honourable Makgato.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the Minister, the Deputy Minister, all honourable members, the DG, Dr. Kumalo, and the team. We as the ANC, we rise today to speak in support of Vote 37 of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, particularly highlighting how this budget allocation embodies and commitment to positioning the sports, recreation, arts and culture and heritage sector as commencement of the South African economic transformation and job creation agenda. The arts and culture promotion and development programs significant allocation of 1.7 billion over the medium term demonstrate our governance profound recognition of arts and culture sector as the key economic driver. This allocation is not merely financial support. It represents the strategic commitment to promoting creative industries as essential components of our economic framework. Research shows that cultural and creative industries have proven that economic value contributing approximately 3% of South African social economic production. This sector has consistently demonstrated its capacity to generate employment with 900 jobs, 900 jobs of the workforce employed in creative industries and of 2019. These figures underscore why substantial investment in the program is both justified and necessarily for sustainable economic growth. The mzansi golden economy, strategically with the dedication budget allocation of 223.9 million in 2025 and 2026, represents our vision of positioning arts, culture, and heritage as the new growth, as the new gold, with immense potential to increase economic growth and create jobs. This initiative directly aligns with the SONA's commitment in economic transformation and job creation through innovation sectors. The mzansi golden economy focus on a large-scale flagship cultural events and community-based projects, creates a multiple effects throughout the economy. For every 1 million spent on cultural and natural heritage production and services, our economy receives about the 1.85 million through direct and indirect output impacts. The demonstration, the powerful economic leverage that strategic investment is in culture provides. Then, Chairperson, the presidential empowerment stimulates a program allocation of 347 million for 2025-2026, specifically targeting the National Film and Video Foundation and the National Arts Council. Exemplifies the immediate response to unemployment challenges. These programs create direct employment opportunities in the creative and cultural sectors, while building the foundation of sustainable career path in these industries. These investments are reflective of the significance of investing the skills development and capacity building that will have lasting input in our creative economy. The program as focus are film and in sectors recognizes this industry's particular potential for rapid job creation and skills transfer. The allocation to National Language Services and the Pan-South African Language Board reflects the commitment and to presenting linguistic diversity and also cultural heritage. The presentation and development of language, not merely a cultural imperative, or it is an economic opportunity that creates employment for linguistic translations, cultural practitioners, and also heritage specialists. Honorable Chairperson, the Pan-South African Language Board work in promoting multilingual contributors to our national competitiveness in an increasingly globalized world, while budget provided significant support to the performing art institutions with entities such as Artscape with 80.1 million, receiving again Market Theatre Foundation with 55.2 million, and again the South African State Theatre with 80.1 million, receiving substitute funding over the medium term. These allocations demonstrate the commitment to promoting artistic expression and cultural development and foundational of our democracy. These institutions serve as incubators for talent, platform for social commentary, and spaces for community engagement. The market, the market. Can I get water to drink? Cheers. Sorry, Chairperson. This institution serves as an incubator for a talent platform for social commentary and spaces for community engagement. The Market Theatre Foundation alone increased its audience number from 36,000 in 2022-2023.
Honourable Member, your time is now expired. Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable Mchunu.
Sihlalo ohloniphekile namalunga eParlamente bahlali bonke base South Africa. Namuhla ngisukuma nokukhulu ubuhlungu nokudumala enhlizweni yami ngalesi sabelo mali. Mhlambe ngisayiqala nje lenkulumo yami ngifisa ukuveza ngokusobala ukuthi umkhonto wesizwe party uyaphikisana nalesi sabelo mali. In other words, we reject budget vote 37. Lesi sabelo mali asinabo ubulungiswa kubantu base South Africa futhi asihlangabezani and asikhulumi lutho ngezidingo zezinkumbi zabantu bakithi abahluphekayo nabangathathi lutho entweni. Le budget kahle kahle ayilethi izinguquko kumkhakha wezemidlalo, ubuciko namasiko. Sports, arts and culture is the soul and cornerstone of the nation. Yet, honorable members, that soul is bleeding. The Access report of 25 April 2025 confirms what we already know. The department incurred irregular expenditure of 1.3 billion in 2024-25 alone, due to non-compliance with procurement laws and payments to service providers who did not deliver the promised services. Over 92 million in the National Arts Council and National Film and Video Foundation was spent on projects without proper verification of impact or delivery. The department continues to roll over funds year after year, unable to spend what is allocated. This is not a shortage of money. This is a shortage of proper planning, integrity, and political will. The department's own APP report expose brutal truths. Kukhona ukubandlulula okuhleliwe la kwingqalasizinda yezemidlalo namaciko. Izinsiza zigxile kakhulu eindaweni zalaba abadla izambane likapondo. Ezindaweni zasemakhaya naseykoleni akwakhiwa lutho. Awekho ama-swimming pools, hockey fields, tennis courts, netball fields, and no art centers. Ihlazo ezikoleni olibonayo izingane zigcina zivula ama-ground ebhola eyikhotheni. Zibeke induku ngapha nangapha zakhe ipali. Kodwa kontaba gayikhonjwa ujiki khona nekhona banazo zonke lezi zinto zixhaphakile nje eindaweni zabo. Emakhaya bahlangana ngaphansi kwezihlahla belolonga amathalente abo, becula besina baze basike namathini nezigubhu, bakhe iziginci nama-drums. Noma bezama kangaka bayavalelwa amathuba okuveza abakwenzayo ukuze nabo bathole uxhaso, baxoshe nekati eziko. Kwaze kwayihlazo ke lokhu leli ukuthi amaciko akithi noma libonakala ithalente kodwa bacindezelwe akekho onendaba. Imiphakathi yathenjiswa ama-art centers. Lawa ama-art centers akhiwa, iningi lawo ashiwa phakathi kwangaqedwa ukwakhiwa. Kuphela nje kwadliwa imali. Northwest kune multipurpose center enkulu akade yakhiwa yashiwa ingaphelile. Le ndawo siyaphenduka indawo yokuzikhulula kweinkomo nezimbuzi. Kunokuba le ndawo isiza umphakathi neyouth esithola idla idakamizwa ngoba akukho okubaqoqozelayo okuyimidlalo. Le ndawo isivele yaba umhume wabaphangi, inkundla yezigebengu. Ngikhuluma ngenkohlakalo engayixoxelwanga but ngayibonela ngalawa wamamehlo. I-portfolio committee hambele le ndawo. Akuyona yodwa le ndawo eshiwe Dengwane kodwa ziningi. E-KZN kune Jumbo Art Center ePietermaritzburg. Iphelile indaba yayo, ibolile ama-artist amaningi abesebenzisa yona. Seyaba nje into engaziwa, kukho manzi, kukho gesi, kuguge yonke into, akufakwa mali ukuthi kulungiswe ngoba vele iseyindaweni zabantu abantulayo abangenalutho. Uhulumeni ongenandaba nabantu abaswele. Uhulumeni uthule nje kuntshontshwe imali ngapha nangapha yabahluphekayo yabakhokhi bentela. The much touted Mzansi golden economy is failing grassroots artists. Instead of building district level hubs for creativity, funds have gone to ceremonies, big works events, and VIP catering. Lo mnyango waka sports, arts and culture uhlezi uhluleka ukufeza izithembiso zawo. Wathembisa ukuvula amathuba emsebenzi through the creative sector stimulus. However, the APP indicates that this indicator was entirely missing from the initial plans and was only added to the final APP after it was highlighted by the Auditor General of South Africa. Infrastructure targets are repeatedly postponed. Projects such as the rollout of national school sports facilities remain incomplete, leaving students without safe places to train or play. Okukazi kwakhala nyonini kulo hulumeni osube khona iminyaka engaphezulu kwamashumi amathathu, but ayikho intuthuko ebonakalayo kwimiphakathi ehlwempu. Kusafana nje nokuthi sisaphila kuhulumeni wobandlululo. Angiyiphathi ke eyibonelelo kanye nezinhlelo. Isabelo mali sincane kakhulu. The total DSEC budget for 2025-26 is 5.2 billion, a mere 0.2% of total consolidated government expenditure. The National Arts Council funding remains around 117 million. Okuyimali enganele ukuthi ngabhekana nezidingo zamaciko nalabo abasafufusa. Honorable Chairperson, the National Development Plan envisioned a nation where sports and culture unite communities, promote social cohesion, and create jobs. But the reality is clear. The department contributes almost nothing to job creation targets of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. Youth unemployment stands at over 60.8%, yet the creative sector has been left underfunded and fragmented. Umnyango usitshela ukuthi ufaka isandla kuhlelo lokubuyiswa komnotho kodwa sibona imali efakwa incane kakhulu. Uzobuya kanjani kanti lo mnotho uma ubuqopholo lobudla lubi kanje? At this pace, We will not meet the NDP goals even by 2050. Uma ngingabala nje okunye okuyimbiko ehlasimulisa umzimba, the KwaZulu Natal Museum lost 10.9 million in planned upgrades redirected due to procurement failures. The department's own audit revealed over 23 million allocated for cultural events disappeared into administrations with no traceable outcomes. Kunemali nje inyamalala emehlweni sibhekile zingaziwa. Honorable Chairperson, as Utata Nelson Mandela once said, a nation should not judge by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. Kodwa namuhla abaculi, imbonga, abadansi, abasubathi, and youth in rural and township communities are still the lowest ones in the government priorities. Abaziwa nokuthi bawobani ezweni sakhile babukelwa phansi. Lesi sabelo mali sikhase kakhulu impilo yobukhazikhazi, but abantu bakithi bayafa indlala. Balambile benawo ama-talent abangayiphilisa ngawo, kodwa uhulumeni ubanyathele ngeenyawo. Uhulumeni ugijima nemicimbi esezingeni eliphezulu yomntakabani. Umkhonto wesizwe phathi ufuna ukubona abantu bonke bephila ngokulingana, yonke imiphakathi ehlwempu iphumelela. Lesi sabelo asisizi umuntu, asilethi noluncane uguquko, but kuntshontshwa imali kuqhashazwa abantu abangenalutho. Ma-South Africans amahle, umkhonto wesizwe ugalelekile, yonke le nkohlakalo esiyibonayo siyibeka obala. Iphoyisa elikhulu umkhwanazi uyeza uzonibamba one by one, nizoyithetha inyani. For these reasons, the AMK party cannot support budget vote 37. Amandla!
Order, honourable members. The next speaker is the Honourable Magloa.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Honourable members, the late Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Sport can create hope where there were once only despair. It is more powerful than government in breaking down racial barriers. It laughs in the face of all types of discrimination," unquote. Minister Mckenzie, I want to talk to you about the plight and aspirations of hundreds and thousands of athletes and artists who dedicate their lives to their craft. I want to talk to you about the allocation of resources, their needs, and whether athletes receive the support they deserve to excel in their respective fields. Having served on this portfolio committee in 2010, I commend the current committee for bringing a fresh perspective and a dynamic approach to this domain. They've injected a much-needed vibrancy, holding entities accountable for every cent spent. It is high time that this department must wake up and smell the coffee. Minister, I want to talk to you what's really going on beneath the surface of a 6.31 billion rand. The performance of indicator related to reports on heritage facilities has been omitted from the 2025-2026 annual performance plan. The Artists in Schools program, which target youth, and it is referenced in the 2025-26 annual performance plan, has been halted, despite being clearly outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding between the department as well as the Department of Basic Education. What is even more concerning is that the budget allocated for sub-program 1 is facing a decrease of 28.7 million rand, despite the Minister's directive on program 350 pertaining to the Olympics. Leadership instability has become a persistent issue, with acting appointments is now a norm in the department. This continual reliance on temporary roles undermines the organizational instability and hampers overall effectiveness in the department. It appears that governance is not a priority, as the department's annual performance plan no longer includes an indicator that addresses the governance of public entities that report to it. The performance indicator related to reports on heritage facility has been omitted from the 2025-2026 annual performance plan. This contradicts the Minister's stated commitment to supporting programs, athletes, and heritage facilities. We need to scrutinize these decisions and ensure that athletes and cultural institutions receive the support they deserve. Minister, I want to draw your attention to the pattern of misconduct within the department. In 2017, a former minister of Sport took a trip to Dubai and was paid for by a company linked to Saskok. An arrangement that raises serious questions about conflict of interest and ethical governance. Another of your predecessors approved an annual payment of approximately 1 million since 2016 to a so-called cricket school, which is not even recognized by any official sports federations. The only link we could find that was an allegation of his son attended the school. These examples illustrate a worrying history of questionable decisions and blurred lines between public duty and private interests. It is in this context that I urge you to take decisive action and to restore dignity and integrity and transparency and also accountability in the sector. Minister, I want to talk to you about serious allegations of nepotism, favoritism, and potentially bought and tender flawed processes involving individuals who are members of your party. Names such as Eugene Botha, Dr. Ralph Lungs, Bishop Blennies, Bernardo Maralak, Jonas White, Houston Francis, and Liesl Pennicking, among others. We fought against these things in the past, and we should ensure that the sector does not get captured. Minister, I want to talk to you about soccer. Yes, soccer, and not about LeJohn Soccer Club or the now defunct Royal AM Football Club. I want to talk to you about SAFA's financial crisis, mismanagement, and millions that has gone just wrong. Despite bailouts, their inability to cover basic expenses like salaries, food, and transport. Minister, I want to talk to you about netball, boxing, as well as Athletics South Africa. Netball South Africa received 90 million rand in a public funding to the Netball World Cup. Yet, more than 2 years later, the committee did not have any way to interrogate their reports. The delay is concerning given the president of Netball is currently under investigation for financial misconduct. Allegations, Athletics South Africa crisis ranges from deregistration saga, police presence at the elections, misusing of athletes' funds in shebeens, hotels, and clothing shops. The DA is concerned, Minister, about the department's oversight and management of issues such as Sarah Bartman, the project that came to a standstill. No tombstone yet, no restoration to date, no visitors allowed, only a gate that has been locked for more than a year as established during my visit in Henke on Sunday. Minister, given the department's decision to halt funding for flagship events that contribute to the economy, it is shocking that just 3 working days before the end of the 2024-2025 financial year, the department, through a letter, committed a 5 million rand in partial funding to the Belito July Experience Project through the Ilembe Economic Development Agency. Where is the Department of Tourism then? The reason was to attract sustained tourism. This raises questions about the department's priorities and the policy framework guiding such decisions. And also, when being contacted by the media, it was the department who refrained from giving a comment. Minister, the time for rhetoric has passed. The sector needs principled leadership that restores our dignity, that delivers impact, and puts South Africa's artists and its athletes first. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Mtetwa.